When Amberlick announced that they were making another handheld, I was like, huh. And then when they announced that it'll be using the same H700 chipset, I was like, ah. And then when they said it'll have a 4-inch screen and it'll be a vertical form factor, I was like, ah. And then when I saw it for the first time, I was like, what? And then when this arrived in the mail, I was like, ah. But then when I opened it and I got it in my hands, I was like, And then when I realized I needed to get to work on a video review for it, I was like, ah. And then as I was working on this video, I ate some spicy chips and I was like, and now, right now, as I'm recording this, I'm like, but that's enough about me. What are you like? And that's cool. That's cool. Hey there, I'm TechDweeb, welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video today. This is the RG40XX-V, the latest in the XX line of devices. And not only has Amberlick continued to use the same chipset with the same software and the same components as their past devices, they've also decided to use the same stupid naming scheme. My names are way better, both subjectively, objectively, and as a matter of factively. So we start out with the 35XX Plus, which I named the Bezazzle, and then they had the 35XXH, which is the horizontal version, and that's the Zazbizzle, and then the little version of that is the Zazbiddy, and the big version is the Zazbiggle, and the flip-top version is the Flipzizzle. And now the prophecy has been fulfilled because we got a vertical device like the Bezazzle, but it's big, so it's got to be the Big Zazzle. That's what everyone's going to start calling it after this video, so spread the word. The only one we're missing now is a vertical version of the 28XX, the Zazbiddy, which would basically be Amberlick's answer to the Miu Mini. So Amberlick, let's go. 28XX-V, make it happen. It's going to be called the Biddy Zazzle, by the way. There's not a lot new that you get with the Big Zazzle. You get the same performance that you get on most of Amberlick's devices from this line, which means that you'll get a device that plays everything up to PS1, Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, and even lots of Dreamcast and PSP, decent controls, high quality screen, overall a great device, just like the rest of them. I've watched all the reviews of the Big Zazzle, and if there's one common thread amongst them, it's that, yep, it's just another H700 device from Amberlick. Boring. And I get that, because they're kinda right. But I also don't get it because they're kinda wrong. Maybe I just have a hard time getting things. That's what my mom always tells me. But like, this thing isn't the same as any of their other things. And the only crime that it committed was to come out last. Which is a shame because I think lots of people are gonna not even pay attention to this one because it doesn't do anything crazy new. But in the retro handheld world, getting a device that does something genuinely new is as rare as girls that will talk to me. Basically non-existent, really. I'm really into this. The Big Zazzle is here and I'm here for it. And you're here to watch this review video. And if you end up wanting a Big Zazzle, then Lid NXT is here for you because you can buy this from them if you want one. They have free worldwide shipping and they made me a discount code finally. TechDweeb, that's the code. You can use that on any purchase to get 12% off. And I think it persists. It doesn't expire, so you can use that on anything you buy from them, like ever. You just gotta remember the code. You should probably get it tattooed on your arm just to be on the safe side. That's what I did. When I reviewed the Zazbiggle in my video review, I said, I spent the last of my grocery money to buy this, so I sold my cat to buy root beer this week. Actually, I might not have said that. You'll have to watch the video to find out. The short version is that I love the device. I love that there was a 4-inch screen. However, because it was horizontal, it wasn't going to be the one for me because for most retro gaming purposes, I'm a vertical device kind of guy. Why is that, you ask? I was just about to tell you. There are several factors that make gaming on a thing comfortable. The shape of the thing, the control placement, the feel of the plastic, the weight. But I've learned that there's something about me, the way I like to game, that makes vertical devices way more comfortable. And it has to do with angles. When you're on a horizontal device, you need to both hold the device higher up and look down lower, a little bit, compared to a vertical device. Because on vertical devices, the screen is up. It's up top. It's a small difference on paper. It's only a few inches, but it makes a big difference, that's what she said. It's more comfortable in almost every scenario. Whether I'm sitting in a chair and the device is in my lap, or if I'm sitting at a desk or a table, or if I'm in the tub, or if I'm lying in bed, especially lying in bed. Those few inches of screen elevation mean my poor dweeby neck doesn't have to strain itself to see my game. Plus, it's more nostalgic. The Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, even the Nintendo DS and 3DS all had the screen a healthy distance above your fingers. Because of that, when I want to play retro games, 9 times out of 11, I'll be grabbing a vertical. Speaking of grabbing things, my hands were not prepared for how much I love the shape of this thing. Amberlic did some very weird things with their last 4-inch vertical device, the RG4065-V. Super weird shape and ergonomics, although I actually ended up playing that thing a ton. I loved it. Why? Because it's a 4-inch screen and it's a vertical, obviously. Haven't you been listening? Pay attention. So when I got my grubby hands on the Big Zazzle, I wasn't prepared for a slim device with minimal weirdness to the shape. Shoulder humps that are comfortable but also don't stick out much. They're so minimal that this thing can almost lie flat on a table. And most importantly, the hand feel of this thing is like next level good. I can't really put my finger on it. Oh wait, yes I can. It's a combination of the wider, more spacious control area and the subtle accents like the shape of the bumper shelf and these ridges down here that give your fingers something to rub. And like I said, the fact that it's a vertical device means that your neck and hands and arms will be at a more natural angle to play it. Even the stick is in a great place, and we'll talk more about the stick in a bit, but the position of this stick is dang near perfect for my thumb to reach down and give it a bit of a wiggle. And can I just say how freaking gorgeous this white version is? I was and still am super bummed that they didn't do a retro Game Boy colorway on this one. But I do love me a white handheld, and they did an amazing job here. I like that they even did the buttons and D-pad as white for a change compared to the white bezazzle. It's a beautiful design, super classy. One of my favorite looking devices in a good long while, actually. The buttons are great, mushy but firm membrane. One small gripe I have is with these clicky bumpers and triggers. Not that they're clicky, I don't mind the click and they're pretty quiet, but it's that they're a little too easy to press, so I end up accidentally tapping them. There's only one analog stick, but the vast majority of the games you'll be playing on this won't even use 2 sticks. See, look, I'll fire up a random game and, never mind. Anyways, a single stick isn't a problem most of the time, for most of the stuff you'll play on here. The bad news is that if you do want to play analog stick games on here, the stick is crappy, as usual. Cardinal snapping, wonky response curve, behaves more like an 8-way arcade stick than an actual analog stick. It actually boggles my mind. My mind is literally boggled right now at how Amberlic can mess up analog sticks so bad on this line of devices. They're kind of shooting themselves with a foot by ignoring these glaring stick problems that every reviewer complains about, but they're still doing for some reason. At least it has RBG though. What this thing lacks in stickiness, it makes up for in the D-pad-ness. I love this D-pad. It looks great. It feels great under my finger. Yes, thumbs are fingers. Fight me in the comments if you disagree. The inputs are perfect. No false diagonals, but easy to hit the diagonals when you want to. I can do all the special moves in fighting games, so at least they got the D-pad right. I talked about this a lot in my video for the Zazbiggle, but I love 4-inch screen devices. I have pretty good close-up vision still, even though I'm an old man, but lots of my friends have problems seeing close-up stuff with their aging eyes. And I've done tests with them out of curiosity to see if a 4-inch screen makes a difference for them compared to a 3.5-inch screen. And I can say from my scientifically collected data that frickin' heck yeah, a 4-inch screen is a big difference. It's a game changer for being able to see your games. Even for me, I don't have a problem seeing 3.5-inch screen devices, but I prefer the bigger screen because the games look so much better that little bit bigger. It's only a ½ inch more diagonal space, but that equates to a 30% bigger screen. It's the perfect middle ground for a device that you can see clearly but is still small enough to be pocketable. This is plenty pocketable if you don't have teeny tiny pockets for babies to hold their cookies. Oh, look at that. The system on here is Amberlic's thing. It's fine, it works. I'm not going to go into detail because I've already talked about it so much, but the short version is that it's not flashy, but it's improved a lot since the early days of this line of devices, and now it really does get the job done. You can browse your games, favorite your games, and launch your games. You can adjust the in-game RetroArch options with hotkeys, save your settings. You can plug it into a TV or monitor and connect up some Bluetooth controllers to use it in home console mode. You know, play Ninja Turtles with your 3 girlfriends as a secret way to pit them against each other and see who ends up with the highest score so you know which one you should marry, as one does. However, my favorite custom firmware for this line of devices is Newly. The build of Newly for the Zazbiggle totally works fine on the Big Zazzle. I copied over all my games and game lists and box art, and it all works amazing. This is what I use on all my XX devices. I love emulation station front-end based operating systems for so many reasons. Check out this video if you want to know why and how to do the Newly thing. And yeah, gaming on this thing is a treat if you like retro games. If you're into more modern games, the 3D stuff like N64 and Dreamcast and PSP, then this might not be the best choice because it doesn't do every game from those systems. However, it does do a lot, and this thing is pretty cheap as these retro doodads go, so it might be a good choice even if you want some of the higher end stuff. However, if you want mostly lower end stuff, all the 8-bit and 16-bit and early 3D stuff like PS1, then this thing is a freaking champ. The 4-inch screen is nice and big, all the pixel games look amazing, and because it's 640 by 480, that means we get some really good scaling options for most retro systems. And of course, you can use shaders to achieve various LCD effects for systems like Game Boy and even CRT effects for home console systems. Anyways, the short version is that I love gaming on this thing, and the long version is that I really love gaming on this thing. But here's the question. Even if this is a great device, which it is in my opinion, is Amberlic doing something wrong by releasing so many devices in different sizes and shapes that all do the same thing? Are we sick of this chipset or whatever? And should we expect more from these things? The answer you'll get will be different depending on who you ask. No shortage of opinions out there. So let's add one more to the pile. My opinion is that it's a wonderful thing to have so many devices that don't reinvent the wheel but still appeal to different customers with different needs. I come from a PC gamer perspective, and one of the best parts about PC is that you can get them in any size and shape. If you prefer a smallish gaming console style PC with RBG for your home theater, you can have that. If you want a teeny tiny small form factor PC, you can have that. If you want a big badass gaming PC, you can have that. If you want it in white, if you want it in metal, no problem. Any PC size and shape that you can dream of can be yours, even if they all have the same internal components. I'm not saying that all PCs have the same internal components. I'm just saying that the internals can be the same between PCs, but the size and shape and aesthetic be what differentiates them. I feel the same way about these things. These cheaper retro handhelds are always going to be limited by their price. It's only natural that a company uses their current best chipset for all their devices in the $60 to $90 price range, because that means that they can get them out cheaper and that they don't have to reinvent the wheel each time they create new software and front ends for them. The thing they can do different is the other stuff that makes me prefer one handheld over another. If I want a 4-inch screen, a vertical device, and I want to spend around $75, now I have one. And before this came along, I didn't. I don't see how that's a bad thing. That's a great thing that there's so much choice. There's no such thing as too many handhelds. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. And if this is the one for you, you can pick one of these up using the link in the doodad below. And make sure you use that discount code that I have down there to save 12% if you do. And that brings us to the end. Thanks for watching and stuff. I'm curious to know, what do you think? Are you sick of getting so many similar devices? Or are you happy that there are so many great choices like I am? Let's argue about it in the comments below. And while you're down there, click the thumbs up button if you like the video, or don't if you didn't. That's it from me for today. I'm TechDweeb, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.